Welcome to the Sprint 6 demo of the Spring 2022 Pod Reshare Workcycle. My name is Corey Lown, and I'm a developer on the Access team at Stanford and tech lead for this workcycle. In this video, we're going to demonstrate the work we completed during our sixth and final sprint of this workcycle. Pod Aggregator is an open source system to aggregate MARC, bibliographic, and holdings data for institutions that participate in the Pod initiative. Our goals are to bring Pod to production, improve the user interface, refine the data contribution and consumption experience, and build out functionality needed for Pod Aggregator to serve as a data source for Project Reshare. During the sprint, we made user interface and accessibility improvements and implemented OAI PMH for data harvesting. Now I'll hand things over to Marlo to demonstrate some of the changes we've made during this sprint.
This work cycle, we continued to clarify terms and labels that are applied to streams. Coming off of the work on default stream histories done in the last work cycle, we were able to add badges and tooltips to provide information about the times when a stream was set as the organization's default stream. We continued to make the layouts used on each page of the app consistent with the broader redesign. So this work cycle, we were able to update the layouts for the stream pages, which you see here, and the badges are also present on this page. We also upgraded the layouts to the pages for individual files, the pages for overall uploads, and the upload list page. We made some other minor changes, like removing a button that used to be here on stream pages that allowed you to make a stream the default stream from this view. And now that functionality is preserved, but we have streamlined it to only be possible in the list view for streams. And hopefully that just makes it clear where certain actions should take place within the application. Another small change that we made this round was to prevent the deletion of former default streams unless you are logged in as a pod admin. This should help preserve the integrity of the stream histories in our backend. A lot of the user interface work this round was in the activity summary section of the application. This area is only viewable by pod admins, and it allows for a quick snapshot overview of all activity that's going on in the application. So I'll briefly just go over some of the tabs in the summary section. And just keep in mind that this is staging data, so it's only a limited sort of example data set of providers and uploads being shown here right now. So the first tab here on the activity summary is the uploads tab. We get an overview of the most recent uploads and the statuses for all provider organizations. And from here, we can easily link out to dig deeper into the data or any issues that are surfaced in the overview. So the next tab is the job status tab. In this tab, we get an overview of any active jobs that are happening in an organization and any jobs needing attention. And again, we can link out to aspects of the summary into the part of the app that will give more information. The next tab I'll showcase is the users tab. It's pretty straightforward, but it gives a quick overview of all users and their roles in the pod application, grouped by provider organization. I just want to demonstrate a couple of the accessibility changes we also made this round. So thanks to work by Gary, who reviewed a lot of the accessibility details, we found a bug that was preventing these status badges from being keyboard accessible. We weren't able to tab to them. So now you can see that we're able to tab over them and reveal the tooltip data. We also fixed some ARIA issues in the uploads tab and changed some markup around in the nav bar to make the elements, again, more accessible. And yeah, those accessibility changes are somewhat behind the scenes, but definitely important to the experience.
Thanks, Marlo. We've made a number of other improvements to the user interface during this sprint. On the Uploads page, we've changed the label of the new upload button to clarify that the new upload will be uploaded to the default stream. Additionally, we have fixed a bug with the download button on the Mark profile page. Previously, it would not download the correct file. We fixed the underlying bug, and now the download button will download the correct file. Also during this sprint, we added a field to the provider detail so that organizations can add a link to documentation about their Mark records. This field is optional. We also fixed an issue on the provider page where the record counts would sometimes incorrectly display 0 records. Now the current record counts consistently display on the provider page.
Hey, this is Nick from the Access team. This iteration, we reached a major milestone in our implementation of the Open Archives Initiative protocol for metadata harvesting. Incremental harvest of the Mark records in a providing organization's default stream is now possible. To support this functionality, we changed the semantics around sets in the repository so that a set now corresponds to a single stream. This simplified the case where providers change their default stream. To see this functionality in action, you'll need to be logged into a pod account in the web interface or submit HTTP requests to the /OAI endpoint using a token from any pod provider organization. By setting the verb as list sets, you can see the identifiers for all of the currently available default streams. We've uploaded a small amount of test data to the Ivy University organization to demo this functionality, as the data for other provider organizations gets generated in the background. The identifier for Ivy University's default stream is currently 395, and we can see that it's been the default since May 31st. To facilitate changes in default streams, other streams that were previously the default are also noted in this list, along with the dates that they were marked as default. Now we can set the verb to list records, provide the identifier for Ivy University's default stream, and request records in Mark XML format. Each record in the default stream is returned in a record container in pages of 500 records at a time. To request the next page of records, we can find the resumption token at the bottom of the response and send it in our next request. When we get to the final page of results, the resumption token will be empty. We can also use the from and until parameters to narrow our search to a particular date range. But if we narrow the search too far, we'll get an error indicating that no records match the request.
Thanks for watching this demonstration of the work we've completed during Sprint 6 of the Pod Reshare Workcycle.